I'm going to attempt to take you through 50,000 years of material culture in 5 minutes. Starting with William Morris, News from Nowhere. Written in 1890 when Glenn's dad was beginning his carpentry apprenticeship, more or less. Sounds like he's not quite that old. But as you might know, the narrator starts from his old house on the River Thames, and it is set still in our future in 2052 or beyond. William Morris's primary concerns were work, technology, civilization, cities, and art. And perhaps that's my agenda for this 5 minutes. But one of the things you need to understand is although William Morris was a pioneer of the arts and crafts with Philip Webb and John Ruskin, he used manufacturing when they could meet his exacting standards. He wasn't against the machine, he was against the drudgery of work and people being enslaved as wage slaves, the sort of thing that happened in the Nottingham bicycle factory owned by Raleigh. But robots are becoming part of our everyday life. I passed this Just Eat delivery Starship robot on the Thames path going to judge a student competition just this January. So it looks like an escaped laser copier. Hopefully it's got a decent curry in it. Now, back in 1940, before America had joined into World War II, Isaac Asimov wrote Robbie, the beginning of iRobot. It took him till 1950 to complete iRobot. When I was a teenager, the only robots available on the high street were in the toy shop or the bookshop. I took home this book. I found it urgent and prescient. Now, on the high street in London, there are products by iRobot. They'll clean your house. Sadly, the bookshop is long gone. Although set in 2058, a little ahead of William Morris, the robot Robbie was made and sold in 1996. So this is the history of iRobot's company. Founded in 1990, they're out of MIT. You can buy their Roomba vacuum cleaner today. It costs about twice as much as a Dyson manually operated, but half as much as a Dyson robotic cleaner. Other vacuum cleaner salesmen are available in today's panel. But you'll note, still no Robbie. But what of technology back in 1950 when Isaac Asimov was completing iRobot? Here we see Liverpool, where I studied architecture, the birth of the Ark Royal, a great metal island, sadly on a mission of defense, hopefully. I don't think it saw war. It's being built in camel lead. Now, you might think that architects and engineers depend on technology transfer, but I'd like to suggest to you that we're actually the early adopters of technology. Here we see James M. Monroe and Son producing the Comet flight test hangar in Hatfield. Yes, it's for the de Havilland Corporation, who made the Viper and the Comet jetliner. It is a 66-meter prefabricated aluminium structure produced and completed in 18 months in 1953. Langeroog, are you up to speed yet? And here we see it, a structure every bit as dynamic as the jetliners it shelters. So said John Peters in 1958. And today, as Glenn suggests, we've kept it. It's a tennis center, somewhere where the future Andy Murrays of this world, or is it Joanna Conta, might learn to play. And that aluminium structure looks as shiny as the day it was built. Now, one of the myths of 20th century architecture was mechanization was going to take command, as described by Siegfried Gideon in 1948, that mass production was going to take over. It never happened. Kieran Timberlake, Stephen Stephen Kieran, James Timberlake start their book, just like William Morris, an architect, has been asleep for 80 years. There is no prefabrication. They suggest the digital revolution will transform the role of the architect and put us back in the center of activity. And being good Americans, they remember profit as well as vision. Yet, 3 years later, what they produce is a beautiful bespoke house in Maryland on Chesapeake Bay. Yes, it's designed with BILM. It has an aluminium frame sourced in Germany, a Bosch Rexroth set of extrusions. Yet it is beautiful and it is bespoke. It is personal. Whereas in refabricating architecture, they suggested the Boeing Corporation was going to solve our collective housing crisis. And here we see at night time. It is an example of reflexive technology. And if you want to know more about that, read Andrew Feenberg's book, Questioning Technology, 1999. But here we see the oldest man-made artifact in the British Museum, #1 visited attraction in the UK, just round the corner. And it is 13,000 years old, carved from a mammoth tusk and found in central France. Perhaps there wasn't Brexit back then. And it's a swimming reindeer. And Professor Simon Mitchell suggested something between 10,000 and 50,000 years ago happens in the human brain that allows this fantastic creativity, imagination, and artistic abilities to emerge. So collectively, we all have a past of making, of haptic understanding of the world and of materials. Therefore, I think it's essential that in the education of architects and engineers that making is front and center of the curriculum. We need to be very careful in our selection of tools because they influence what we do and how we deliver. Robots are fascinating, but there's still a role for rote rings and hand drawing. And it is my suggestion to you that all of the best of contemporary architecture, wherever you place it in the world, involves physical outputs, model making, prototyping, and experimentation. Here we see Howard Tompkins in Liverpool, rebuilding the Everyman Theatre, the home of great acting. They're using digital fabrication, in this case water jet cutting, to depict the ordinary people of Liverpool in 8mm thick anodized aluminium. And it becomes this glorious theatre of the people, a sort of realization of Cedric Price's Fun Palace. And as you probably all know, it won the Sterling Prize in 2014. So it is my suggestion to you that it's not craft or automation that is important. It's the fascinating client, the skillful architect, the interesting city. That is how we might contribute to people's lives and culture. The essence of our added value is design. Thank you.